Hello, good evening, and welcome to the match build-up with the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, and with me I have Jamie and Grizz tonight as we look forward to Liverpool's trip to St James's Park tomorrow night against Newcastle United. Liverpool remain top of the table. Manchester United have got a late winner tonight through Marcus Rashford to go second in the league. Man City decided they didn't want to play football this week. Everton got very upset. And listen, everyone still thinks Spurs are the threat, but listen, that's how it goes. Lads, you're both very welcome. And Jamie, I'm going to come to you first. It's a strange festive season, and there's teams taking points off each other all over the place. It's no one can gather momentum, but we're facing into two games now against Newcastle away and Southampton away, and I think, Jamie, we need to start putting the foot down a bit here.
Yeah, especially off the back of Man United finding a way to win again there. I think, we've spoke at length about who we think are going to be the main challenges, and I didn't see it as Manchester United. I still don't. I think Manchester City will be, but they just keep managing to find a way. They're not going away, and I think Liverpool now, with the two games they've got coming up, it'd be a good time to make a statement. I felt like we were on the right path after the Crystal Palace game. I don't think, I think people were worried about West Brom, in the fact that they were going to try and park the bus, but a lot of people felt we would have had enough. It's just a little bit of a speed bump that we could have done without with the likes of United not going away. Two games where I think the Newcastle game, you've got to be saying we'd be massive favourites going there. Southampton is a difficult game. I've been really impressed with their manager, the way that he's got them set up. But if we can go back to back with these two tricky away ties, it'd be a massive statement given what Man United are doing behind us.
Yeah, Grizz, when you look at these two fixtures, Newcastle away, I always look at Newcastle away and go, oh, what Newcastle will show up and what Liverpool will show, because you've seen some mad games, especially at St James's Park over the years, where Liverpool will go there as favourites and lose, go there out of form and hammer them. But when you see these two, and then the FA Cup, where you could see the kids, how crucial is it to get 6 points out of these next two, and not set a marker, but just keep that momentum going and let others pick each other off as we move through this season.
It's massive, honestly. I joke around and say we win the next three, we've won the league. But God, I'm telling you, this on the back of the West Bromwich, these next two games, for me personally, they're massive, Gav. There's no getting away from it. There's no going there and see if we get a draw and saying, look, we didn't get beat. Especially with the sort of state of our squad, with Matip out as well now. I think there's huge pressure on us to actually get 3 points. It's reminding me of the title race with City when we went toe to toe with them, where every week was a must win. There was no other alternative.
Feels like the season starting now, Grizz, doesn't it?
It's mental. It's almost every game is like a must win because of the nature of the league and because of the nature of the teams beating each other, dropping points, us not capitalizing. I mean, we were so adamant that we're going to capitalize on last weekend's results for the top six around us. And apart from Man United winning today, again, the results so far have gone for us. Man United win. Again, we've got to go there and win. With regards to your thing about Newcastle and tricky fixture away, we've got to a level where it doesn't matter about the opposition. With that good, that it all depends on us how we perform. Like the way everyone's talking about fucking Big Sam's masterclass. No, we were shite, and there was no masterclass from them. I don't care what anyone says. We were shite. We up our game. We win tomorrow. But it won't be easy. They've rested a few players. They've rested a few players for our game, as teams do when they're playing at us. But that's part and parcel of being the best team in the world. Everyone's going to be ready for you. Everyone's going to be warmed up for you. So it is what it is. Let's see what happens.
I absolutely agree with you, Jamie. You said something there during the middle of when Grizz was talking. You said it feels like the season is starting now, and is it a case of that because we're 15 games in, our 16th game tomorrow, and when you look at it, game 16 is Newcastle, game 17 is Southampton, and then game 18 I think is Manchester United, if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong, but I might be wrong. But there might be a game before Manchester United. But is it a case of the season starts now? Because usually when you kick into January, you start seeing teams getting injuries. You start seeing teams massively fluctuating in form, and one or two go for the title, one or two hang off, and they're top four. A couple might make a charge for European football. Is it a case of? I know you said it was an off the cuff thing, but is it a case of that happening now?
I think you're starting to see the table take shape. I think you're starting to suss out who the real challengers are. I absolutely include City in that, even though they're not kind of in the shake-up at the moment. I think once they have their games in hand, they will be. But I think you're starting to see now the teams that are able to grind out results, and that's a big tell for me. Is when teams don't play great, they still get results. Manchester United have got a knack of doing that. It's not all about sort of being flat track bullies and sort of beating the lower teams. It's finding a way to win a football match when you're not at your best, and Liverpool mastered that last season. Let's be honest. And I think a lot is kind of made now of Liverpool, and maybe some of the points we've dropped against the likes of a Brighton, a Fulham, a West Brom. I think I still think Liverpool are comfortably the best side in the league. I think with the players that we're missing, I think you will see the gap shorten. And in the games that we probably drop points, you're probably seeing that where we're missing Van Dijk, for example. If he plays in those games, the type of goals that we concede, we just don't concede. We don't concede them. So, to go back to your question, I think, if I'm being honest, I think you're starting now to see the teams that are going to pull away from the pack, that are really going to try and stick with us. That said, I still think Liverpool have got too much for the chasing pack, but we could do with going back to back, as I said, with these next two fixtures.
Absolutely, going back to back, I think is a massive thing. Not even because you might find Liverpool fans panicking, going, "Oh, United are second and 2 points behind us." I think Everton have a game in hand and can go ahead of United, can't they now? If that works out, if they were to beat City, I think they would have been second. But for me, it is a case of it is starting to take shape, and it is important to go back to back. But it's not even. I'm looking at the teams around us, and I'm thinking they haven't had the injuries that we had. There's no way they might have had the numbers wise, but not as big as us. Not Van Dijk, Gomez levels. THIAGO comes on second or third game, bang, he's gone for a couple of months. They haven't had that. United most certainly haven't. City have a little bit. Spurs haven't. Chelsea haven't. So I think. Instead of, I'd like to see us win these two, not to get dragged to their level, to kind of push on and see players come back. And I think you're right, Jamie. If everyone gets back, not Van Dijk and Gomez, but if we can get THIAGO back and we can get players like even the Simicast back, a Jota back, and it just bolsters that squad a little bit, I think you're right. I think we have too much for the vast majority. Delwyn Jones with a super chat, he asked this. First one to you, Grizz. Second to you, Jamie. Grizz, will me and you be doing a transfer show?
I think we may well be now. Hint, hint.
I think
read into that what you will.
I think we. Well, I'll just tell you. I think we have a pencil in for next Tuesday. Do we?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it next Tuesday. And the question for Jamie. Jamie, who would you get as a new centre back in, and why?
Ooh, good question. Firstly, I do think we have to go into the market. I think if we just let's just think of it logically. You know me, lads. I'm not one of those that's kind of like panic jump into the markets. I thought we had solutions in the squad, but the thing we said a couple of weeks ago was we couldn't rely on Matip, and that's just become more evident. And it looks like it's probably an adductor injury. I've had one myself. They're an absolute nightmare to shake off. So I'd expect him to be gone for a few months. So first things first, I think we have to bring in a centre back. Who would I bring in? See, Liverpool are not, I don't think, and maybe Grizz can correct me on this, are going to spend a huge amount of money on a centre back at this moment in time. I would expect to see somebody come in, maybe a hot young prospect. Somebody that you're going to retain resale value. Liverpool are not in the business of stockpiling players, so I think that anyone that they do bring in, I think will have to have a long-term future at the club and be able to jostle for that kind of second and third place. Who would I get is probably a different answer to who I think we might get. I like your man. What's your man called from Ajax? Yeah, if I was to pick anybody, given the profile of the player, I think we can get him. Am I right, Grizz, for around 20-25 million?
Yeah.
Given his age and his potential, that would be someone that I'd be looking at.
Yeah, the lads were discussing this the other night. Last night, I think they might have been discussing the centre back stuff, and Grazer obviously touched on a couple on Sunday night. Pau Torres says Stephen O'Connor looks solid. I'm with you, Jamie. I think Grizz is along the same lines. I think Shore's everything about him looks like a Liverpool signing, and it's not only for what's happened Van Dijk and what's happened Gomez. I'm trying to look at the situation when they get back, and when they get back, for me, I don't want to see Fabinho as a centre back. I think he's brilliant at it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see him as an emergency centre back. I want to see him as not your fourth choice, your fifth choice. I'm okay with fifth choice, and if you want to play him there the odd time in certain games, I'm absolutely fine with that. But don't want him dedicated as a fourth centre half. What I'd like to see is Gomez, Van Dijk. Lovren's obviously gone. Matip's out. So our four centre halves that finished last season are no longer playing at this club at the moment. I would like to see them do something like Shores. I'd like to see them bring their plans, and I've said it a few times. Bring the plan for the summer forward, and if you have to pay a levy on that, pay the levy. Because I think the pros of doing that far outweighs the cons, and taking a risk and going, what can we do at the end of the season? Because no disrespect to Nat Phillips or Reece Williams or any midfielder that has to go in there beside Fabinho. It's not the solution. Not at this club or what you're looking to do for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Reece Williams could turn out to be a really, really good centre half, but I think it's too early in his career to pin him to 18, 19 league games where you say, listen, you have to play every week now, more or less. I don't.
Do you know what worried me the other day on Williams, Gav, while you're on him? And he probably hadn't been dragged into that type of situation often in the games that he played. I think he's great on the ball. I think he's very composed. He's good in the air. But he got exposed playing against West Brom in a 1v1, and he ran like he was pulling a fridge. And that, for a team like us, with the high line that we play, that's a worry for me. And that kind of made me think, do you know what? I think what you might have seen as well, and people won't like this, but I do think you may see it with THIAGO coming back into centre midfield in the next game or two, give and take where his fitness is at. I don't think Klopp would be against putting Henderson in at centre back alongside Fabinho. Now, that is, if you say this out loud, Liverpool have basically one fit senior centre back who's a centre midfielder, and our realistic, or another realistic option is to put our other centre midfielder and captain alongside him. That is not going to see us home and hosed for the rest of the season. I think he could win us games and be strong and solid, but if there's a player to go and get, we have to change our approach and just go and get it done.
That's what I look for. That's what I look to the summer and try think what Liverpool would do, and can they make it happen in January? Like, I think Shores could most definitely happen in January. Did he make Europa League? Does anybody remember?
Yeah.
He made Europa League. Okay, but I still think if you turn around, and I don't think he'd be cup tied anyway, wouldn't he? Not, you can move now and still play in other competitions. So I think he'd be absolutely fine. I think that he mightn't be the player, but I think if you have someone in mind, I think moving it forward 6 months benefits you, because you get him on the pitch right now, and at the start of next season when you get Van Dijk and Gomez back, he's 6 months down the road in his Liverpool career. Kevin Borland, with a super chat, he says, do you think we need two centre backs, Lovren, Matip replacement, and Fabinho back to number 6? I do, personally. I think Matip,
100% agree.
Yeah, I don't know, Grace. I just think.
But not in January, obviously.
But not in January. I think that's too much to do. But Chris,
yeah,
we speak about Naby Keita's availability every week, and it's a big frustration. And look at this. You have to do the same with Matip now, and it's probably a more crucial area of the pitch where numbers are way more important at centre back, because you're limited there. We have 6-7 midfielders for 3 positions. We're going on 4 players for 2 positions. I think Matip I think he has to be finished at the end of the season. I really do. So for me, it's 2 centre halves by the end of the next transfer window.
Look, so the Matip question, I think we'll all unanimously say we've got to get rid at the end of the season. As class as he is when he's fit.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. I can't remember the stats at the top of my head, but I read some damning stats from even last season and the season before in terms of how many 90 minutes he's completed, lads. So our fitness people, our coaches knew of the situation. Now, I was very not happy. I was okay with this, with not buying a centre back, and I was very vocal about it. Loads of people were on our case. Do you remember? Gav all summer, no, this is not on. But it made sense to me in terms of keeping Gini, adding THIAGO, so that's your midfield absolutely full up, clogged. And then as Klopp alluded to, the plan was to put Fabinho back as your fourth choice. Fourth. He wasn't going to be first or second or third, fourth choice. So then you rely on Gomez, Van Dijk, and then, the injury plague Matip. But you think, no, that's okay. But no one could foresee the way our centre-backs have been taken out. And, are literally basically out for majority. Well, Gomez's case, definitely out the season, and Van Dijk, majority of the season. We've been given, it's for everyone. We have a chance to fix this either for the short term or, as Jamie thinks, for the long term, and you as well. Now, the problem with fixing it long term is the caliber of player that we want as Liverpool Football Club now. It's going to be near enough impossible to get in January. The caliber of player that we want, which is going to not only enable us to be challenge for the league now and the Champions League, but also for coming seasons, right? So we're looking at someone who's going to be between 21 to 23, have all the attributes, bedding in period, and then, he's going to become our number one centre-back alongside Virgil van Dijk, because we don't know what Gomez's state's going to be when he comes back as well. We've got to bear that in mind. That's going to be so difficult, lads. Honest to God, I've been racking my brain and thinking, how do we do this? How are Liverpool going to approach this? And I've been worried. You guys know my situation in terms of what I think Williams and Phillips have been absolutely commendable for us so far. And they've come in and they've been given specific jobs for specific games, for specific strikers, and they've done fantastic. But for me, if I had to rely and know that Reece Williams and Phillips are going to be our centre-backs for the majority of the remaining of the season, it wouldn't fill me with confidence. So therefore, we need to do something. We all agree. How we go about that and what type of centre-back we do. Do we think long-term or do we think short-term? Maybe a loan or someone like a Klavan, like we bought for a few million, I remember at the time. That's the dilemma Liverpool, and I think, have at the moment. And they must do something, because just for the numbers' sake, lads, it's not even someone, we'd be at this stage, we'd be happy with just another number in there, another centre-back. As Jamie says, we haven't got a senior centre-back. Let's not count.
You actually say that out loud. It's ridiculous.
No, we haven't, Jamie. We haven't. It's like, I know you said Fabinho, and Fabinho is probably the best centre-back in the league right now, but he's not a centre-back. We've got a lad who we tried to flog until the last day of the season in Phillips, but we just couldn't agree the right deal. And we've got a young prospect who was at Kidderminster Harriers last season, and he's a prospect. Now, we're Liverpool fans. We like to big up our players, but he's a prospect. So it's a difficult one in this window, how we approach it. I'm just as confused. I don't know how they're going to approach it. I feel sorry for the people that have to make this decision. It is it may come down to money, as you said. I know, Gav, you keep saying bring the 6 months plan forward, but then the teams that we're working with in terms of wanting their players, will they want to release their players? For example, the Leipzig lads, we 100% want Upamecano, but we're playing them next month, so that rules that one out. I don't know. I'm panicking, and I don't normally panic when it comes to sort of our recruitment.
I think, I know what you're saying, do they want to release their players and stuff, but I think the COVID will take effect on that, because, Ajax, for argument's sake, Ajax are playing behind closed doors. They're losing revenue. The TV deal in Holland wouldn't be anywhere close to what the Premier League gets. So they're actually using money, and I think you'll see a mega summer of transfers, especially with the likes of English clubs, especially buying, because they will be able to pick off certain teams around Europe that just don't have the TV deals. France, Holland. Not so much Germany, maybe Italy, I'm not too sure, but I think you're going to see something big in the summer. Philippe Hunt with a super chat, he says, must sign a centre-back early in the window or we won't win the league, in his opinion. United scare them. They have a strong squad depth, but hopefully someone does come in soon. And Michael Ramsey, Michael, you're mad. He said, Liverpool won't and can't retain the title with rubbish like Jones for the season. For the season, please tell me that clown there is only one universal boss and it's one Chris Gale. I don't know what that's about, Michael, but I do enjoy your messages every week, so keep them coming. But lay off Jones, will you? He's having a good season.
Curtis Jones definitely texted his missus there, and he can't let it go. Let it go, Mike.
He's had a good season. He wasn't great at the weekend, but he's had a good season. Lads, this will rumble on with regards to centre backs, and maybe Naby Keita is going to be thrown out there. Do we need another forward if there's a Origi going? So listen, I think we have it scheduled in for next Tuesday, but we will let you know beforehand. We definitely are going to do a transfer agenda show. We are going to tell you though that for the month of January, we probably won't do 2 a week, because the January transfer window does be fairly quiet unless something mad goes on, which is very rare. So we're probably going to commit to 1 a week, and if something comes up like a signing, we will absolutely do a show on that night. I think that's okay. There is other people out there that will do stuff every day of the week, but I don't know how they do, because nothing fucking happens, and they're just rehashing stuff they've read already. You do know that we don't go by the tabloids here. We usually go by our gut feelings, things we hear from certain people and certain avenues, and we go with that on our transfer show. So we will commit to 1 a week, and if something happens like Jota did, and THIAGO and Jota one night after the other, I think, during the summer, if that happens, we will absolutely come and put some shows on, because look, I've nothing else to be doing, lads, so we might as well. Let's get on to this game. Jamie, we go into this, and we've spoken about how important it is. We had that 8-day break, and people thought that would refresh us, and it did it not? You could argue. But this one is literally Wednesday, then Monday. So it's a nice little break in between. Do you expect him to go as absolutely strong as he possibly can, and only tinker about where he absolutely needs to?
Yeah. I think to go to your first point about the length of break, Klopp always talks about players need more of a break. I don't think it suits Liverpool. Whenever we seem to have an extended break, we don't seem quite at it in the game that follows. I think there's something about this team when we're going back to back. There's quick turnarounds between games. They just build up a head of steam and momentum. We've shown it, at length over the last 2 years. I think looking at this game, and I suppose fresh off the back of West Brom, I think that Klopp is one of these managers where he likes to give the players the opportunity to go rectify. He spoke at length in the press about being hurt, angry, upset at the performance, and Grizz was absolutely nailed on before when he said that this wasn't a masterclass from Allardyce. I don't think it is anything but playing a 6-4 formation and clipping a couple of balls long and playing for set pieces. That's not a master plan. Any manager can get a side to set up to do that. We were poor in possession in the second half. We were panicking. We didn't play the ball through the lines. We were, as you spoke about it in the pod during the week, so we won't go over it again, but we were naive with the football. And I think the players now have got that much of a body of work that they'll be able to analyse their own mistakes. They'll know what they did wrong, and they'll be chomping at the bit to go correct it. And I think that things as footballers, when the good thing now is you don't have to wait a long period of time before you can get back on the pitch and put things right. And this gives Liverpool a massive opportunity to put right the wrongs of the West Brom game.
Grizz, we seen the West Brom game, and we were poor, and we won't go over it again. But Newcastle aren't going to set up much different for me. I done a show last night with a Newcastle YouTube channel, and this Matt, who was on the show with me, he's dreading this fixture. But he said, "Is there any hope for Newcastle?" I said, "Well, I don't know. Did he set up the same way as West Brom? Did he make us go wide? Did he force us to cross? What did he do? We need to be a bit more brave." I think it's going to be very similar to the West Brom game, but is that what we need, Grizz? Do we need a very similar game to go out and right that wrong on 2 levels? 1, we get back on the bike and we start putting points on the board, and 2, we kind of lay those demons to rest a little bit.
Yeah, you tend to think that they may try to target our weakness a bit more. I don't think he'll be very similar to West Bromwich, because I know we've seen teams come with a low block and park the bus, but I haven't, me personally, in all the years I've been watching Liverpool or any team, I haven't seen anything like that first half formation that they employed. It's imagine being a player and playing for that and trying to do what he done. I mean, fair play to him. In second half, he actually changed it around a bit, and I didn't think he was going to change it until the last 15, 20, if they were still in it. Steve Bruce, same school of thought, pretty much. Again, the lack of crowds is helping him, because the crowds would murder him if he played like that every week at home, the way he does. But I think, and this is what gives me hope, even though I'm really, I'm really struggling to think, how we're going to cope with no senior centre backs sort of for the next 5-6 weeks. This game gives me hope, with the fact that I think they're going to try to target us and try to sort of attack us in that area. And I think that could be their downfall, and that could help us, because we love teams that think that can attack us. We love teams that think that we've got weaknesses and try to target them. So that gives me sort of hope that, Mo won't have a game like that. Mo, very rarely do our forwards have 2 dead games in a row as a collective. One always shines. None shown in that game. I know Mane got the goal, but he was poor overall. I think we freshen it up in midfield. I don't think he picks the same team. I do think there's a minimum of 2, most likely 3 changes going into this game. And I think obviously one's the enforced one with Matip, and then I think we make a couple in midfield and possibly one up front as well. I think the fact that we're playing on Monday, which gives us 3-4 day rest, I don't think we take that into consideration personally. I really don't. I think he just changes it for the freshness. I don't know. Go on, Jamie. You was about to say something.
No, I was going to say, I think you'd bang on with the midfield shout. I think you might see Curtis Jones drop out.
Yeah,
I think what happened against West Brom could be the best thing for Curtis Jones. He's been superb for us. I've waxed lyrical on many a podcast about Curtis Jones, but the worrying side of his game came out against West Brom. There's 2 sides to the arrogance and the self-belief, and he was a little bit laboured. And ultimately, it was his error that cost us the goal. Look, he's young. That will be a massive learning curve. If I was Klopp, I'd potentially look to take him out the spotlight. And the one thing off the back of the West Brom game, people in the comments seem to be saying, that Newcastle should employ the same tactics. Why wouldn't they? Let's kind of reverse and look back at last year of football. Liverpool have played very, very poorly in games against these type of sides, but found a way, from whether it's a set piece or we've stumbled over the line. I think there was a game against West Ham earlier on in the season, which followed a very similar pattern. And the difference maker in that game was Shaqiri. Shaqiri came on, and Jota, who I thought was a massive miss against West Brom, because what we spoke about in the WhatsApp group, lads, the 3 forwards, and it's really easy to rectify. And this is why I'd like to see Klopp go very similar with the team again. The strikers in the second half were all coming towards the ball. Nobody ran in behind. We were not looking to stretch them. And we were doing all the things that you shouldn't do against a defensive block like West Brom had. Shaqiri not coming on was a strange one for me, and that would be the change that I'd look to make, because against West Ham earlier on in the season, it was his little clever reverse pass, if you remember, for Jota to run through. With Curtis Jones stepping out, I'd like to see Shaqiri come in and be that link between the front 3 and the midfield. And he loves, look, Shaqiri's not somebody that's going to track back and chase and overly press. What he does, he picks up these very smart positions in between the lines, and he'll hold his position. So Hendo and Wijnaldum and the fullbacks can feed it in. He can get a turn and we're away. The important thing for me is that the strikers look to run in beyond. If we play everything in front of Newcastle, we make it very, very easy for them, because there's not much space. Whereas even if we I think Klopp said it in his post-match, he said, strikers or players have to be prepared to make the same run 10 times, even if they only get the ball once. We stop making those runs. We have to make the pitch big. So I'd be looking to bring in Shaqiri in midfield.
Yeah, with the Jones incident you talked about, and again, I completely agree. He's been brilliant. He's been fantastic, and there's no doubt about it, because he will learn, because you can see the improvement in his play, and that only comes with being a good learner, a quick learner. So where we saw Jones a season and a half ago, compare him to now, and look at the development, especially intelligence-wise as well. But, you know, even before that, I thought he gave the ball away and held his hand up, and he was casual. I can't remember who gave him a good bollocking, one of the players. And I think this is where Klopp was a bit slow the other day with his substitution. I completely agree that Shaqiri not coming on should have been made. That was the one that we could all see, kind of thing. You know, Gini, even bringing off Gini for Ox earlier. I mean, Gini was redundant. He didn't have to intercept any passes.
I was more annoyed about the Origi one as well. If you bring on a big target man, what's the first thing that you'll thought business play? West Brom like that all day. I don't understand why.
Yeah, but my point of the day was
it was scrambled thinking by then.
Exactly. My point was, I don't care who you were bringing on. We weren't changing what we were doing. Like, I get what you're saying, Minamino, Shaqiri, you know, small, you know, nippy, low centre of gravity, can turn on a sixpence, and then they have good vision. But we weren't playing that way. And Liverpool literally went into a football coma at the weekend, where it was just, we just put it over there and we keep putting it over there, and they just couldn't snap themselves out of it. They just couldn't. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing we're playing Newcastle. Newcastle may look to do the same thing, because Liverpool will be absolutely determined that if Newcastle come out and do the tactics 80% what West Brom did, Liverpool are going to be absolutely determined to rip them asunder and just go, listen, that happened, it was an off day, but you try it again. And, you know, it's like saying to a kid, I let you go away with that one, do it again and you'll know about it. You know, the kind of way it's, and I genuinely think that's it. Apparently Lascelles is out for Newcastle.
Lascelles is out for a little while.
Lascelles is out. Saint Maximin is out. The guy they got off Bournemouth, Fraser, is out. People are asking about Schär. I'm not too sure if Schär is out.
I mean, I wouldn't be worried about it. The one that worries me, it only worries me because a 19-year-old is going to be playing up against him. Unless Klopp shocks us all, and as Jeremy says, not shocks us, because I think there is a chance of that. Henderson dropping back there, knowing that we're going to have, again, 75% of the ball. Yeah, so that's the thinking that comes into play when you play Henderson back there. Callum Wilson is your modern day Les Ferdinand, in the mold of a
blast from the past. I like that one, mate.
But he's like that, Jay, in terms of style. You know, very back to the. You know, he can play with the back to the goal. Very strong in possession of the ball, brings others into play, but can run the channels. And as we saw with if Reece Williams plays, he's not the quickest. We're going to be targeted in that area. Almiron is his final ball's not brilliant, but he's very quick. He's very nippy. That's where their strength. That's where I think, you know, it's slightly different from West Bromwich, where West Bromwich didn't look to do anything. I think Newcastle will try to do things, and that's where sort of it will leave Salah, you know, far more space if they go and attack our right and double up on our right, because we know Salah, sort of, as Gav calls it, cheats and plays in that position where he doesn't really come back unless it has to. And then we know Trent's ability to pick out a pass, not necessarily a long pass, but even a 20-30 chip into space. And then you know that makes Salah come alive. I'm just envisaging certain moves that we could sort of pull off against them, and how we would go about attacking them. I don't think they're going to play as deep, Gav. I know you're saying it's going to be very similar. I just can't see them playing as deep as West Brom. So we may not have to play the same way as we did in terms of going out wide.
I still think I'd be very surprised if Liverpool have the ball anywhere in Newcastle's. Anywhere on the pitch, probably from the halfway line. Anywhere inside their half, I can't see Newcastle being no less than the 18-yard box. I can't see them coming any further out than that. Because if they do, they get killed in behind. Jamie, is there an argument here that you could see a change in formation to a 4-2-3-1? Because people are mentioning there, could he go with Carroll to have a go with us? Carroll and Joe Linton be very physical. Does he go with Callum Wilson? What are they going to do to try hurt us? But could it be a case where, listen, we really need to protect the centre-back partnership now, so play two holding and look to get a Shaqiri on the pitch ahead of that and say, listen, we're going to be solid. We may not go mental with our full-backs, but we're going to put that extra body, instead of just the front three, we're going to put that extra body in the middle of the park to try to be creative. Could that be something they look at for tomorrow?
Yeah, potentially. Especially if, like you said, we do look for somebody like a Shaqiri who, running the opposite way isn't really his strong point. With Henderson and Wijnaldum, they're so well drilled as a two, that I'd have complete and utter faith in them being able to do the doggy work, keep the ball, and just allow Shaqiri literally to try and occupy spaces in between the lines. I think the big one for me is who he picks at centre back and how can he protect whoever it is. So if it is a Williams, for example, making sure that Henderson is there to be able to marshal and protect, and basically not allow him to be exposed in the way that he was against West Brom. The other kind of worry, I don't want to be negative, but Trent hasn't looked quite at it. And Grizz kind of said it there. I think Newcastle could look to expose us. Quick ball, like you said, maybe they'll be camped in their own half, but then they'll look to go long like West Brom. And West Brom nearly caught us out twice, if you remember Alisson's great save. That kind of channel in between right centre back and Trent. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't be overly surprised to see kind of Ginny and Henderson sitting deeper to try and shield and protect, and then just giving the attacking players the impetus to say, look, it's up to you now to go and create. I think the biggest learning from the West Brom game, we've got to move the ball quicker. It was so laboured, it was so slow, it was so ponderous, it was sideways, out wide, then hopeful clip into the box. We've got to be able to penetrate more. So whether that is a Shaqiri who excels, I think, against these type of teams in short, sharp spaces, or an Oxlade-Chamberlain who, all right, it didn't quite come off for him the other day when he came on against West Brom, but he was direct. He was driving at teams. He lacked a little bit of sharpness, but that will come back. It was more the fact that he was willing to drive, take risks. That if you want to break down teams that have two banks of four or a 6 and a 4 or whatever the hell you want to call it, you've got to take risks. So if we can give a system that would allow us to get some of those players on the pitch, I think it would help.
It's just one that came into my head there, and a lot of people there, not too sure if THIAGO will make the squad tomorrow. I don't know what's going on. There's reports that he will travel with the squad, but I don't know. Ox, of course, is another option as well, isn't he? He gets on as a substitute appearance against West Brom, and he might be the one that, if they stick with a three,
I
midfield,
think it's going to be Ox.
Yeah, they might put him in with Henderson and Wijnaldum. But when I look at Newcastle. And I was talking to Matt. Gallagate Shots is the name of the YouTube channel that I was on with Matt, and he's a lovely fella. Was a really good chat for 20-25 minutes. But what he was saying to me is that, like, he was talking to me about the West Brom game, and he said, "Gav, look, we aren't drilled like that. Steve Bruce has asked about tactics, and he kind of lets it go over his head. He doesn't really. He's nearly comes out and says, tactics aren't really my thing. He said that they've chopped and changed a hell of a lot as the season's gone on, and he doesn't feel that it's because of the COVID situation or the compressed season. He just feels that he doesn't know his best 11. He's gone to a 4-3-3. He's played 4-4-2. He's played 3 at the back. He's played 4-5-1. He's done all sorts of stuff, and he doesn't seem, even when he's doing it, he doesn't seem to settle on a very similar 11 week on week. So he feels Newcastle are very fragile at the moment, a little bit disorganised, and aren't as well drilled as a West Brom or other sides that just look to come out and contain the bigger sides. He's very worried about this game. I did ask him what the threats will be. He said Almiron can be quite lively, but there's a bit of a lack of end product. Joe Linton, you don't know what you're going to get. Carroll could come on and disappear after 5 minutes injured. Callum Wilson's being left on the bench a couple of times, but he doesn't know what's going on there. Callum Wilson probably the main worry, because he is strong, he is direct, he is fast, and he's an eye for goal. But when you look at this Liverpool side, even with a centre-back issue, you're still looking at a side that you go out and go, listen, they're well able to beat Newcastle United. It's probably just the way we go about our game, I think, would be the biggest thing for us. Lads, we're going to try to pick a side between us, and after that, I want to have a little chat about the whole COVID stuff that's obviously blown up in the last 24 hours or so. So, Grizz, I'll come to you first. Are we the centre half thing? I'm going to have to make you pick a player here. But it's definitely Alisson, Robertson, Trent, Fabinho. What are you doing, Grizz? Are you going with a Henderson dropping in? Are you going with a Nat Phillips? Are you going with Reece Williams? Are you going with something different?
No, I'm not going to go with anything different. I just, you try to you try to play the game out in your head, and you think how it's going to pan out, and sort of in terms of possession and who's going to have the upper hand and what kind of threat, as you said, they're going to pose. Are they going to go with Callum Wilson, a far quicker player than opposed to a Joe Linton who's more physical and may suit Phillips more? If it's the quicker, saying that, Reece Williams didn't look very quick the other day. I was going to say play Reece Williams if you're going to go for the quicker forward in terms of Newcastle. I personally think I'd go Phillips. I just think this would be a game for a player like him in terms of see it, head it, clear it, do what you got to do with it, play it basics. I also think, Gav, what you said earlier in terms of I think we're gonna play slightly different in midfield. I think we are gonna play with 2 in midfield as a pivot, and then Ox behind whatever 3 we choose. I'd go with Phillips. It's a tough call. It's a bloody tough call. Williams, just that passage of play, that last 10, 15 minutes, however long he was on for, it didn't inspire me with confidence. As I said, especially in a game where they may even go 2 up top with Joe Linton and Wilson. I kind of hope they do, even though I'm sort of shitting it about our one centre-back. That will open up areas on the other pitch where we can definitely capitalise on. So, but if you're asking me on the spot to choose one centre-back out of Henderson, Phillips and Williams, I think I'd go Phillips.
Okay. Jamie, you going with Phillips at centre-back?
Yeah, I am, yeah. I actually think he's been faultless whenever he's played for Liverpool. I think when you compare the 2 lads that are arguably vying for that place in him and Williams, I think Williams is better with the ball at his feet. But I just think, given the opposition, I would definitely be going Phillips. Strong in the air, keep it simple, give the ball to the players that can play. Don't just do your job. He's no nonsense, and I think for large parts that's what Liverpool need to do tomorrow at the back. Just take no chances, move the ball quickly, get it up to the front lads, and try and do some damage. So yeah, definitely go Phillips.
I think it's an interesting one because when I look at this Newcastle side and I try to think of some threats, we get into midfield and stuff in a minute. Sorry, excuse me. The threat I'm looking at is probably a link. I think there's an argument he goes with Joe Linton or Carroll, and he looks to bring Callum Wilson on 60, 65, and a bit of pace about him when the Liverpool defence is tiring or whatever it might be.
He'll start Wilson, Gav.
I think, but the argument.
I think he rested him in their last game as well.
100%.
And I think he might go with Wilson. I think he'll go with Wilson up front on his own. But what I think you might find with Wilson is I think he'll try pull on to whoever's at right centre back, and I think he'll look to link with Almiron. I think they're out balls for them because the both of them have pace. They are direct, and Almiron can keep the ball. He can go past the player. He can do it. You've seen him do it. It's probably his end product that's the issue for him. So I think when you look at the centre back thing, you go, I know where you're coming from, Grizz. You say, Phillips heads it, gets it away, does the
basics.
The basics, yeah.
The basics.
Yeah, the absolute, page 1 of the defender's manual. And then you look at Williams and you say, he's good in the air. He's decent. He's probably better on the ball, but obviously that he was exposed a little bit against West Brom for pace. What way did Liverpool play the game? Did we play that really high line? Because it exposes Phillips as well. He wouldn't be the quickest in the world. So I think it's a toss-up between them two. I'd probably err on the side of Williams, to be honest with you. But I think you will see Trent in a much more reserved role tomorrow, regardless. I think Trent will look to sit a little bit and literally protect the centre-half a little bit as well and say, listen, we'll just shut off this side because that's the threat, and then we'll take our chances everywhere else in the pitch. I'd probably go with Williams because I think it is going to be, I think the centre-half that's in there tomorrow, his distribution will be more important than his basic defending, as you put it. So I'd probably go with Williams on that.
Well, it depends. Look, I've just got the team up from Man City game, their last league game, and they played 5 at the back. So they played 3 centre backs and then quite fair, quite defensive wing backs this time round. Matt Ritchie is less attacking than a Jamal Lewis that you normally play. So we don't know if Jamal Lewis is going to come back in, try to be more attacking. And then they went 4 in midfield and Joe Linton up top on his own. Now, if he takes out Joe Linton and just replaces him with Wilson, and still carries on playing the 5 at the back, then I think there's a case of Reece Williams. It all depends how they set up. Then I think we'll have far more of the ball if he sets up like that. With just Callum Wilson up top. I've got an inkling, and I hope I'm so right. I've got an inkling he's going to play 2 up top tomorrow, Gav. I really think he's going to think in his head that we're vulnerable. So
I would go Carroll and a runner. I would go Carroll and a runner and just go.
Well, let me remind you. I'm sorry to bring this name up, lads, but I'm just going to remind you they've got a Dwight Gale. That's in and around there. Yeah, the wanker's about, and he's been in and out of the team. But I hate him so much. I hate his face. He's on a par with ADRIAN for me, even though ADRIAN plays for us. But in terms of hatred, so there's a couple of things that I think will sway Bruce's mind in terms of thinking we can get at these, and that's where we will take advantage. In my opinion.
I think so. I think if he goes 2 up front, that'd be fairly bold from Bruce. But also, even if you go 2 up front, it all depends how exposed you are, because they're not going to do it on their own up there. You need to commit more bodies to 2 up front. Like one fella flicking it on to another fella and taking teams apart just doesn't happen nowadays. You need fellas backing up the play, wingers backing up play, and if they do that, they are committing players, and Liverpool will like them to commit players. I still think you'll go with the 1. I think if they're still in the game at 10, 15 to go, you might see Carroll. But it's a strange. I don't know what way Newcastle go. I'm not too worried whatever way they go. I'm more looking to see how much of an opportunity they give us by what they do. Putting 2 up front, I think, plays into us. Playing 1 up front gives us less opportunity, because they are just going to. It's just you're just telling yourself then they're going to stick 1 up there. He's going to be very deep anyway, and we're just going to play against a brick wall for most of the game.
That's one thing, right? Though, Gav, just quickly, Liverpool. If Liverpool played 10% better than they did against West Brom, they win that game comfortably. Yeah. And I think a little bit is too much has been made of the performance in that. Look, it can sometimes happen. You're seeing it a lot now. Liverpool aren't just going to steamroll every team. We're richer off the experience of the game. They certainly wouldn't make the mistakes. I mean, when was the last time Liverpool dropped points back-to-back games? Klopp learns on his feet, and so did these players. I think a little too much has been made. It seems in the comments like people are a little bit nervous about Newcastle. If Liverpool apply themselves in the way that we know they can, they win this game comfortably. Irrespective of who we pick. I personally think Klopp, if he was ever going to pick Phillips, and I know what I would personally go with Phillips, if he was ever going to pick Phillips, it would have been against West Brom. So I'm surprised that he didn't do it in that game, which suggests to me that, he's probably going to, he sees Williams ahead of him in the pecking order, but he's just going to need a little bit more protecting. And that double with Henderson and Wijnaldum just in front of him should do the job.
Jer Cahill says is the Tunes first choice goalkeeper out. Yeah, it looks like the Bravkit is out as well, but somebody does follow that up with saying that it's their second choice goalkeeper is doing really well at the moment. So that kind of knocks that on the head. Into midfield, and Grizz, I'll come back to you. I think Avi says there that he's read that THIAGO will travel to Newcastle with the lads, so it looks like he could be in the squad, but I can't see him starting anyway regardless. Midfield, Grizz, Wijnaldum, Henderson for you in a 2. Do you go Ox and make it 3-man midfield, or do you go with Shaqiri and make it a 2-man midfield and him ahead?
I think, and this is just total guess and an opinion. I think Milner comes in. Oh, I think Milner comes in alongside Henderson. I really do. I think Gini's been absolutely fantastic, but you've got to give him some playing. You've got to give him time off somewhere. And now I know we play again on Monday. I think Monday will be a game where Southampton press us more in midfield. So we'll need. I think Newcastle will try to bypass any midfield, whether it's when they defend. Or when they attack as well. I think midfield is going to be sort of, it's going to be a bit of space in midfield, so it could suit Milner because Milner's not the most active around the pitch. Now, it's not my choice. I wouldn't like to see Milner in there, but I think there's got to be a game where you rotate, beg your pardon. I thought he could have been rotated again against West Brom. He wasn't, but I think Milner's been in full training for like 2-3 weeks now. It's one of those games where you need a response, rally the rads, get motivation going, and I think there's no one better in the squad than Milner at that. And that's where I think Ox will have more of a free role, in my opinion, in terms of less defending to do and really play further forward with a foundation of Henderson and Milner behind him, the old two solid pros. That's just my opinion and a total random guess. I just got a feeling he goes with Milner tomorrow, throws him in there.
Jamie, where are you going with midfield?
I love James Milner. I've spoken at length about how much I think he's had an impact, him and Henderson, on the club over the last few years. That said, I wouldn't have him anywhere near centre midfield. Every single time I see him in centre midfield, it looks like he's running in treacle. It's just, to play centre midfield at the man, and that's no slight on him. He's 75 years old. To play centre midfield in this Liverpool team is a horrible job. I would be looking to keep Ginny and Hendo together. Maybe look to bring Ginny off 60, 70 minutes if the game is hopefully home and hosed. I think the big question is, who do we play as that link player alongside Henderson and Wijnaldum? And to be honest, I think there's a case for Ox, Shaqiri and Minamino, to be brutally honest. I think Minamino's looked bright when he's come in and played in that position for us. If I'm a betting man, I would say Ox gets the nod, and you may see Shaqiri coming on from 70 minutes, dependent on how the game is flowing, and kind of, as I said, just pick and cheat. When I used to play against players like that, I used to call them cheats. They don't look to get back. They'll play off your shoulder. They pick up horrible positions where you've always got to turn your head and try and follow them. To be honest, I can see the Ox getting the nod. But then again, like, I want to see Taki get more minutes. I think he's a real player. So I wouldn't be overly shocked to see him get the nod either, to be fair.
Yeah, when I look at the midfield, I think you will. I go back to Trent being a bit more reserved. If he is a bit more reserved, just to counteract anything Newcastle might do, because I think that's where they will target. So we look to shore that up. I think you need to look for creativity in midfield to counteract that, because Trent is now he's been a bit off form. Let's be honest, but he is so crucial to what we do in the creative side of the game, as well as Robertson. With Trent probably being a bit more reserved, that's where I think it'll go. It could be complete. He could be playing on the edge of Newcastle's box tomorrow for 85 minutes. But I think in midfield, I don't know where. I don't see how Shaqiri comes into this side off the bat, after being out so long. That's my only thing about it. Jones, yeah, he may need to step out, and I think he will go with Henderson. I think he will go with Adam. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain gets the nod, simply because he's come on and he looks like he's ready to play. He's ready to play. Like, Shaqiri hasn't been seen, so is he ready to play? We don't know. Jones off the bench is a good option. I think he'll go with them three. I think the other change we'll see. I think we will see a change up top, but I would be quite happy to go with those three. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain can work hard. He knows that system in a three, no problem to him. It keeps us solid, but it gives us that extra bit of going forward as well, because he does like a shot from distance as well. So I think Ox will get the nod in midfield in a three.
I think Ox is. I think between us, we've all got in our head that Ox is a definite, and I think there's Hendo. We know is a definite. I know you guys think we'll go with Ginny again. I just think it may not even be Milner. It may be a total different formation. It could be Hendo and Ox, and then bring in someone like a Shaq, to change the formation to go three behind the one. I don't know. I think we definitely change it up in midfield. I don't think we go with the same legs, and I don't think there's only one change. I think there's two changes. That's what's happening. I can't seem to put a formation in my head, but I just think for the freshness of mind. No, it doesn't always have to be physical freshness. It's of the mind as well. It's been a slog for Ginny, bless him. And he's got down and done it, but I don't know.
The biggest worry for me, lads, is the front three rather than the midfield. I think we've got enough to find solutions in midfield. We've got link players that can improve off the back of the West Brom game. The front three just haven't looked at it. I know Sadio scored a great goal, but Mane looks miles off the Mane that we know. So if you're to look at that front three, I thought Bobby was the best of a bad bunch against West Brom. I thought he was bright in the first half. I think they were all poor in the second half. As I said before, they were all running towards the ball as opposed to looking to get in behind. But I wouldn't be overly surprised if you may be seeing maybe a Mane drop out and Taki get some minutes one way or another, because to be fair, he was superb against Palace when he came in. Strange that he then didn't get minutes against West Brom, and that Klopp chose to bring on Origi. I thought that was a strange one. So again, I know I'm probably sitting on the fence. I wouldn't be overly surprised to see one of the front three drop out. And if it was to pick somebody, it would probably be Mane. But then at the same time, the best way to play yourself into form is to get them back out there and get minutes in the legs and get them firing ahead of Southampton.
I know last season, we had won the league, but it was I think we were still going for the record at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong, lads. When we played Newcastle away last season, and he did change it up a bit in terms of he played a quite attacking lineup, but it wasn't with our usual suspects.
It was the last game of last season.
Was it the last game of last season? Yeah, so we were still going for the points record, weren't we?
No, we won that day. We couldn't. We could only get 99.
Oh, we could only get 99. But I remember him picking a different attack to normal and it working. We still won there. I can't remember the exact.
Dwight Gale scores after about 10 seconds for Newcastle, and then does Minamino score?
Mr.
No.
A said Origi played and scored a curler.
Yeah, Origi and Minamino scored.
I think does Mane come on and score? I'm trying to remember. It's the last day of the season. I was probably pissed.
Salah comes on. Yeah, Salah and Mane come on.
Yeah, but I just think.
And yeah, he was pissed. I remember.
Yeah, well, yeah, you jam. But I think I know what we're saying with the gap to Southampton and one game at a time. But I think what he does with the front three tomorrow will be a situational thing, like where what are we looking to do here today and what can we do and can we keep it fresh, like Chris said earlier. But I think it is a plan for Southampton, because I think he want that front three absolutely on it against Southampton. Because Southampton to me are Liverpool from 2015, where they will walk, and they will press and press and press and press and press. And if they win some, great. If they lose some, great. That's the journey they're on, and it's a very like Liverpool when Klopp turns up for me. And I think Klopp will want them absolutely sharp as attack away.
It'd have to be, mate. It'd be a tough game, yeah.
It will be a tough game, but it's a game where you'll definitely get opportunities, because Southampton seem to me to have the attitude of, we're probably not the best around. We aren't, but we will absolutely go and try play football against you, try press, try play, attractive, forward-thinking football. And Liverpool's front three just thrive on that when teams come up against us. So I think it might be a case of, looking to win this game, but looking to have them absolutely fresh. Grizz, pick me a front three. Before you do, sorry, Stephen Max says there's 130 likes and 450 people watching. I'm going to have to start putting someone in charge of what likes, because when I done that, people would constantly report back to us and just shame people into hitting the like button, which was great crack. And we don't care. We will shame you into it. So if anyone wants to be in charge of the likes, just tell me now and I'll put you in charge for tonight, for the rest of the show, for the last 10 minutes or whatever we have. But Grizz, I think I said to you, go on, pick me a front three.
Oh, God. So I kind of agree with Jamie in terms of if one drops out, I think it's Sadio. I know he scored, and I know he's such a player for the occasion to sort of, if we're sort of struggling. I think we make a change up front as well, just to keep it fresh. I don't know, Gav. To be brutally honest, it's such a hard one, isn't it? If Shaqiri comes in, he doesn't usually play off the left there. He doesn't like playing off the left there. Minamino would be the best shout. Minamino would be my guess, especially given the way he played against Palace as well. So Minamino, Bobby, and Mo, and then Ox just behind them, or Shaq. I know I'm sitting on the fence, but Jay done it, so I can do it as well. So Shaq or an Ox just behind them.
Okay. Nagib Mohammed says he wants to be in charge of the like. So Nagib, you're in charge. So between now and the end of the show, you have to just annoy people to hit the like button. Master of Disaster says shameful. Likes for how many is watching. Come on, lads, smash the like button. You degenerates. I don't know if that gets to like people like, but I like your style. I really do. Jamie, pick me a front three.
Head and heart. I'd actually, if it was me, I'd actually drop Salah. I'd actually drop Salah for Minamino. But I don't think that will happen. I think if anyone drops out, it'll be Mane, and Minamino will play from the left. I just thought that Salah was very, very poor against West Brom. And I actually thought when he wasn't in the side, look, don't get me wrong, he comes on and was absolutely brilliant and scored worldy goals, but the front three functioned very well against Palace. So if I was picking it, that's what I'd go with. Minamino coming in for Salah. What do I think Klopp will go with? I think he'll potentially drop Mane, give him a rest, and play Minamino from the left.
Yeah, I'm just Stephen Mack says, unlike this pod and reporting. Stephen Mack, you're a little bollocks. Of course, Stephen Mack watches every night. I don't know why he's actually to unlike the pod and report it. He's just messing. But I can tell you that people do unlike it. As soon as it goes live, sometimes beforehand, we know who they are, but we let them go around it anyway. Jamie on the money with his views. Reckon Taki comes in tomorrow myself. Have a great new year, guys. We win 3-0 tomorrow, says Avi.
That's the spirit.
That's the spirit. Yeah.
He's always
Jamie's favourite person now after saying that. Not even the bit about Jamie being right, just
no,
the bit
I
about
don't care about that.
Yeah, it's definitely that bit.
top kid.
Do you know what? Minamino comes in against Palace, and I think the big thing that helps him is that he's there with Firmino and Mane. I don't know if it works as well with Firmino and Salah, because Mane is very unselfish in what he does. If you look at the first goal, he gets in the box, he turns, he lays it off.
It's always tacky.
No, you're not. Listen to me. Mane gets into the box for the Palace goal, turns, squares it to Minamino, takes a good touch and scores. Salah's not squaring that to you, but he's taking that and he's coming inside his left foot and he's trying to bury you. Minamino is all about bouncing balls off people, looking to interact, looking to, get involved in 1-2s and stuff like that. Salah's not about that. Salah's about, if it's anywhere within 25 yards of goal and he has a chance, he's absolutely going for goal. I don't know if it works. I do agree though. I think Minamino probably starts tomorrow because he plays well against Palace and doesn't get minutes against West Brom. And it was a bit bemusing to people, but I think Klopp is genuinely nursing this fella into a Liverpool career. I think beyond all the problems, he's trying to do right by Minamino. That's my resounding opinion on it. Just watching the game time he gets and when he gets it and who it's starting to be with. So I think Minamino does start. I think Mane starts on the bench, and I've no issue with that. Mane is probably been on the pitch the most of our front three all season. Salah wasn't good against West Brom, but I think this is a game that suits him. Firmino is starting to come into a bit of form, and to be honest, if you have got Oxlade-Chamberlain midfield, Minamino, they are creative players that are going to look, and if you get a chance to Salah, you'll score. Firmino will look to. It could probably all be something tomorrow that you get 3 or 4 players on this pitch that are just going to try get Mo Salah chances, because that's what the sort of players they are, and that's how hungry he is. But if you look at a bench then of Curtis Jones, Shaqiri, possibly Thiago, Mane, and at a push Origi if you need to go for that ball into the box near the end, I think that's a very decent bench, and I think it's a very decent lineup. Sorry, Chris, I interrupted you while I was talking.
No, it's fine. We were allowed to on this pod. Yeah. We don't take offense. What I was going to say was about the former. You mentioned Bobby, and sort of it's weird because our front three, even against Palace, apart from Palace, because Salah came on and bloody scored, none of our front three have clicked at the same time, and during this season, it's always been 1 or 2 of them pulling us out of the fire. Now, Bobby's actually playing the best out of the 3, in my opinion, but I think it's the game that least suits Bobby in my head. Like, I would love. I mean, this is obviously, we crying over spilt milk, but if we had Jota, this is the game for Jota. I could see him tearing Newcastle to shreds, but unfortunately, we haven't got him. But that's why I think, ideally, how Jamie said he'd like to drop Salah if it was him. I'd drop Bobby, but it's so hard to drop Bobby right now in the form he's in. We fucking got him to playing a little bit of playing himself into form. We dare not drop him now. That's the situation. Otherwise, I'd love a front three of Salah through the middle, Mane and Minamino in this game.
I think it does suit. I think it absolutely suits Firmino. I think me and you watched Liverpool and Newcastle at home last season, and we were awful until Firmino comes on the pitch and he puts in a performance that was just mouth-watering, to be honest with you. I think it suits Firmino when you have the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain and Minamino, because he will look to drag players out of position and just one touch, bang, one touch knocking into fellas' paths. Firmino loves all that. You see him do it loads of times when he comes out towards the left and does it with Mane, Robertson. He loves all that. And Firmino, for me, I think is probably key tomorrow. Maybe not on the ball, but just the way he moves and he drags and he opens up little spaces. And Minamino won't be afraid to get in there. Salah definitely won't be. And Oxlade-Chamberlain loves getting into a little gap as well. So I think it could absolutely work. Lads, I want to get score predictions and scorers because we don't fuck around here. And also, I want to have a little chat about the COVID stuff that's blown up. So, Grizz, I'm going to make you give me a definite match prediction for tomorrow. I don't want you to reassess when you see the lineup. I don't want you to reassess after breakfast. I don't want you to reassess at any stage. I want a match prediction for tomorrow with goal scorers, please, and then I'm going to log that prediction. Thank you.
For now,
yeah,
because I don't care what you said, you have to give us a score when you've assessed the team, when you've seen the team. I haven't seen the team yet, so at the moment I'm going 2-1 Liverpool.
Okay, who scores?
Goal scorers, Ox and Bobby, because I've slated him. No, I haven't slated him, but I'd said I would have dropped him.
Okay, Captain Salah's 3-0 Liverpool. Chris Brack has 3-1 with Salah, Trent and Mane. Jono has 4-1 to Liverpool. 3-1 Mr. A, Salah, Mane and Ox. Olivier has 5-1, Salah, Hendo, Ox.
Good man, Olivier.
That's Jamie Holmes Borna. Taj Cunningham 4-0. Newcastle are rubbish. David Snutch. Now here's what you want to do. David Snutch says, Gav, I used to watch LFC Daytrippers on my smart TV and didn't know how to send likes, but now I watch it on my TV and have my phone on at the same time, so we can always hit the like button. You'll never walk forever. See, that's it. You know what I mean? We have people delivering babies in bathrooms around Christmas, and we have people watching on tellies and phones to hit like buttons. You can't say fairer than that. Nadir says 5-0 to Liverpool. Avo says 4+ for the Reds, 0 for the Toon. Andrew Scanlon 3-0, Trent, Salah, Mane. There is a little report coming out that THIAGO won't be travelling with Liverpool, so there's varying reports coming out. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. Yeah, I know. He's literally your long lost lover, and he just needs to get on the pitch, Jamie. Score prediction.
I think there's a bit of mind games going on there.
Yeah,
I
might
think
be.
I think he travels.
Might be. Kevin Sullivan has a 3-1 win. Taki and Salah with 2. There's loads going in. Mega McCallion 3-1. Salah, Ox and Minamino. And 6-2 to Liverpool, says Kieran Thorne. Nice one. We'll all take that. Stephen O'Connor has 3-1. Mane, Bobby and Hendo. Jamie, prediction, scorers, please.
3-0 to the Reds. I think Salah will get 2 and Ox will get 1. And fingers crossed, just to make my Christmas, THIAGO manages to travel with the squad, and even if I just get to watch him ping some balls in the warm up, that'll do for me, because you know me, lads, I think he's going to be an absolute game changer for this Liverpool team.
Okay, Stephen Max has totally gone and shaft Newcastle 4-1. So Stephen Mack has predicted a Liverpool win.
I know loads of
Newcastle, and in the
loads
meantime,
in the chat saying Klopp said he's not. So what do you know? Well,
Okay, Barry Devaney says Klopp already said no about THIAGO being involved. Michael Ramsey's back. He's back. That guy is mad about dropping Firmino. LFC problem is the engine room, not the front three, because they are not real centre back. So no Jones, LFC wins. So he's just not a fan of Curtis Jones.
Michael, he's definitely texted his missus. That's the only explanation.
Michael, come on now, Michael. Leave it out. 3-0 Bobby hat-trick because I need it in my FPL. Says Tom Boland. I could do it. Actually, you know what? I don't want Mane dropped. I haven't captain. I better change that. I hope he scores 5. Do you know what's going on with this fucking FPL, right? First of all, genuinely, I do forget every week. I'm losing interest because I just do lose interest in this stuff. It's not
if it was every day I had to do something with it, I'd be great at it because I do loads of stuff every day, the same stuff, social media and stuff like that. But it's like every week having to remember and stuff like that. I'm brutal at that.
Listeners and viewers, this is lies because I always remind him. There's constant reminders in the WhatsApp
I know
group.
there's constant.
I still miss it. I still miss it as well, mate. It's
Yeah,
all
it's-
around the kickoff
But do you know what it
times.
is, Chris? Do you know what it is, Chris? If I get into it, if you said to me, Gav, listen, every day you need to pick two
willing to
players
do that.
every day for your Premier League team and do it for 2 a day for 5 days, I would be fine. But when you're telling me, oh, listen, the deadline's this time at this day, and it just doesn't work for me, Chris. I don't know what it is, but I keep going. I'm mid-table, there's 12 in it. I'm thinking about 6th. I'm doing very well, and of course, Grizz
I
just
think
told
you've
me,
lost
just
interest.
fit.
I think you've
Yeah,
lost interest.
I have lost
since
interest a bit.
Since I've risen up the table. When I was at the bottom,
No
there
one's
was
beating
so much
Andy Young.
interest.
Andy Young is using algorithms. I don't care what anyone says, right? He's using cheat codes via a Sega Mega Drive joypad. I don't care what anyone says because there's definitely something he's doing, and I will figure it out. Notions is absolutely flying with it.
Mine's got that bad. That's Virgil van Dijk still in my team.
Olivier says, Gav, there's FPL notification. Stop it. I'm not turning on another notification on my phone. Genuinely. I've 2 Twitter accounts on my phone, a Facebook account, an Instagram account. Trust me, you don't want to turn it. Just smoke will come out of the phone if I turn on another notification. Kieran Thorne says, Olivia Giroud out of contract in the summer. Hope Klopp and Edwards are on the phone tapping him up. Interesting. We've
Love him.
discussed
Love him as a player. Massively underrated.
Might discuss that on Tuesday. My prediction, 4-1 the Reds. Grizz will be delighted with that. As I always, whenever I say 4-1 the Reds, he goes, haven't seen one of them. But look, it will happen. But 4-1 the Reds, I think Fabinho gets one.
Oh.
I think Gini Wijnaldum gets one.
Against his old club.
You're
Yeah,
absolutely in dream mode now. You
I
might as well
think-
play Fantasy League.
I think Firmino gets one, and I think Mane gets one off the bench. Right, there you go. Go and stick none of your money on that because I'm awful at it. So that's the way it is. Lads, quickly before we go, the COVID stuff is kicked off. You know, City couldn't play. Everton aren't happy. They didn't get all the information. There's rumours going around that there could be a 2-week break after the next round of games in the Premier League. Jamie, for you, there's a 2-week break. Could you see it be going beyond 2 weeks? What way are you sitting on this? Because I still think it's on the clubs to make sure that players are okay, and they should be. And anything that happens where there's multiples, you need to start asking clubs questions.
I think you will see a circuit break of some description. Look, the numbers aren't looking good, and with all the protocols that have got in place and all the safety measures, the numbers seem to be on the rise. And look, I was saying it yesterday in our WhatsApp group. I know I say this with Liverpool sat top of the league. There's serious questions about the integrity of the competition at the moment because teams aren't able to as we were told originally, if you can cobble together a side, you got to play. Now all of a sudden that's changed. Lots of teams have missed key players at various stages of the season, which bring it. I just think we're getting to a very difficult situation now where the City game being cancelled has opened a can of worms. And I think it's going to lead us down a dodgy path. I think you would be safer to just cut the season for a couple of weeks to hopefully try and stem the flow, and then try and get back to some type of normality. It just seems, I think it was the Fulham game, was another one. There was obviously loads of issues, lots of positive tests. I just think with everything at the moment, just take a slight break and take stock at where we're at and go again.
I think a break is very possible. I think 2 weeks is probably doable, but you have to remember from early February, European football comes back in, and that's an issue. The FA Cup is upon us next week, so that puts more pressure on. So if you're starting to move FA Cups around, and if it goes beyond 2-3 weeks and you're starting to go, well, their players can't play in the European football because we've put a stop to the Premier League, because there will be an argument to, like, if you're stopping them playing in this country, why are you letting them travel, sort of thing. I think it's hard to do. I think I agree with you. I think there might be a case of, listen, let's go with protocol, but I think it'll only happen if the actual UK go into like an absolute blanket level 4, I think you can go to in the UK. It's level 5 in Ireland. But unless you go to a level 4 blanket 2-3 weeks and go, listen, everything fucking stops. We need to get a hold on this. It's not going to null and void. You know, people are saying, where's them null and void wankers from March and April and May and whatever. Listen, it was never going to be null and void. You're not going to null and void this league. It's too much money involved. And I told you this, 6-7 months ago. There's too much money involved to null and void this league. But if you're getting clubs that are showing multiple positive tests, then you need to start worrying, because not only are they multiple positives at Man City, you then have to go back and look at who they played. Is there anything happening there? There's talks now of other clubs reporting multiple.
I was worried our game might not go ahead, Gav, because that's who City played last.
Yeah,
it's the knock-on effect then.
Yeah, it's the knock-on effect, because listen, if two teams get it, you have to start looking at 4, 6, possibly 8 teams. And the reason I say that is because the games are so fucking close together. You could have a fella that tests positive, and he could be 6 days, between tests, and go, he's positive now. But in the last 6 days, he played 2 games of Premier League football, and then they've gone and played 2 teams as well. So you're looking at 6-8 teams then, when it all comes down to it. But the only thing I will say is the way the Man City one just came out and was postponed, and Everton's response to that made me a little bit weary of what's going on here, because my understanding is that if you have 14 players, you play. 14 players, and look, they have all the money in the world. They can get tests done and get results back in hours. No problem to them. So I can't understand how that was postponed, to be perfectly honest with you. But they're saying that the bubble that they're in was compromised. They don't know how far it's gone. But it's very simple. You test them the day before and you get the results more or less immediately, and then I think there's something going. So look, it could be conspiracy theory. I'm spending too much time at Call Torley, but it's one of those where I do get, that's not right. And the Everton thing kind of compounded, because Everton are kind of going, yeah, health and safety and all, but we need the full disclosure of what's going on here. Everton should have been given full disclosure and had no need to make a statement. Grizz, are we getting a 2-week break?
Not only Everton, sorry, I'm just going to add to that point that you made. Not only Everton, our very good mate, David Moyes, the one who's in the chat, in our regular chat. So David Moyes, the West Ham manager, has come out and said he doesn't understand what happened with the City scenario, because even according to him, and he's a Premier League manager who's been given the rules and regulations and all the possible outcomes, and he said, as far as we were told, as long as you've got exactly what you just said, 14 squad members, you will have to play. And he doesn't understand what's happened there. So, suddenly he's our best mate, isn't he, David Moyes?
Because the thing is, I would think that the protocol for Premier League clubs will be, listen, if you're playing 3 games a week, we need to test you 2 days before that game, and then straight after it, and then straight before the next game. We need to keep so many tests between games to make sure that we're not risking you going onto a pitch and we miss a test day and all hell breaks loose. That's what my understanding. So if you're playing Saturday, they should be testing you on Thursday and saying you're fine, and then testing you the following Tuesday and saying you're fine, and then Thursday and saying you're fine. But with this condensed thing, they should be tested every fucking day. They have the money to test them every day, and they have the ability to pay for them tests to come back within hours. Look, my daughter got tested twice for this, and she had results, I think, 18 hours and probably 17 hours later. That's just a normal child in Ireland going into a test centre down the road. Premier League footballers, because of them, and clubs, because of the money they have, and I suppose the outlets they have to go and get this done, literally could have that taken and tested and brought back to you. They could do it in an hour. There's no problem to them. If they
do you know what, though, Gav? If you think of it from a selfish perspective, look, a 2-week break wouldn't do us any harm whatsoever, to be fair, with the likes of, players to come back, get a little bit more sharpness. I wouldn't be against it as such. I just think there needs to be some joined up thinking, because, look, I think I tweeted it yesterday. Let's be honest, this season has been an absolute shit show. From start to finish, the way everything has been handled, from trying to cram a full season into a shorter time period, the international friendlies at the start of the season absolutely killing players. Like, there's just been no joined up thinking, and if they are to try and fix this mess, people have to start talking, and that does not mean postponing a game with an hour to go. When the rest of the Premier League were under the impression that as long as you have players that you can put on that pitch, the game goes ahead. So there just has to be a lot more clarity, like with VAR, all the other things that we've seen this season. There's just a general lack of clarity and leadership that has to change.
You see, my thing with the City, the City situation is that I can't understand how Man City travel to Merseyside and then decide that they have too many positives and can't play. Them players should be like they're playing Everton on a Tuesday, for argument's sake. Them players should be tested on a Monday. The results come back. You are absolutely fine. Now, all you people go into this bubble at the City training ground because it's the best in the world, as people will tell you, and they've all the facilities to actually stay there and house themselves there and say, listen, you are absolutely fine. You're cleared. You go into that training ground and you stay there until the coach collects you tomorrow. And we're going to bring you down, and all the protocols from the Premier League are in place with regards to hotels, getting to the ground itself, afterwards, anything. There's no circumstance for me where a Premier League game should be called off that close. Now, if City played yesterday and tested today, and they all come back and positive, you go, well, the game is off in 3 days' time. It's absolutely off. But you shouldn't get to a couple of hours before the game and then City declare that there's an issue. I don't see how that can happen, and I don't see why it should happen. They have every facility available to them. We've seen that when the Project Restart happened. They have every single outlet available to them, and City should under no circumstances turn up on Merseyside and then declare that they've a multiple in the bubble and we can't play. The protocol before the 24 hours or 40 hours in advance of that game should be followed, and then you're in your bubble and you fucking stay in that bubble because you are all cleared.
Owen Burke makes a good point, and again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the inconsistencies. I think it was Tranmere who were basically forced to play a game, and I think they had to wheel out the dinner lady to come and play for them. They had to fulfil the fixture, and then you have the likes. I think it was Leyton Orient were due to play Spurs in the cup, in the League Cup.
But you're going to get issues with the FA Cup now, aren't you? Because the lower league teams, if there is a problem and they don't have the facility as the Premier League clubs, you're going to get more of an outbreak.
Yeah, but this is the thing, that it's opening up a can of worms now, this City thing, because I think in the Leyton Orient instance they had to forfeit the fixture, so Spurs went through. But they're now saying if this, because I think City are due to play, is it United, in the League Cup in the next few days or in the next week or so, they may not be able to fulfil that fixture. But they're now saying, oh yeah, but you don't have to forfeit that. So it's one rule for one and one rule for another.
Yeah, because apparently, Jamie, the rule was only that rule was only up until the fourth round, and I'll tell you what that is, Jamie. That's the Football League doing exactly what the Football League do, because they know once to get beyond the fourth round, fifth round, quarter, semis, or whatever it might be, the bigger size are involved, and that's where there's money. And listen, they have form for this, because last season in the quarter final, they expected Liverpool Football Club to play on, if you remember, on that Tuesday or Wednesday night, okay, and then travel to Qatar and play in a World Club Cup game the next day. If you remember rightly. That's the Football League for you. That's the form they have. And the reason they put that and implemented that in there as a stipulation was because, listen, we don't want Man City, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, however, Spurs, whoever it might be, turning up in a quarter-final or a semi-final or wherever it might be of a League Cup, and COVID absolutely scuppers it, and we have to say you're out of the competition. They don't want that. So there's actually an argument there to say, well, it's not really about health and safety, lads, is it? It's all about money, and that's why I go back to it never being none unfighted. So, Mr. Ace says Liverpool's going into Tier 3 tomorrow, no more fans. There won't be any games, I think, if this continues, and I think you have to start asking questions of clubs. One isn't an issue. One and then one follows on. I don't think an issue, but to turn up for a game on a match day and then declare that we've had too many positives, I think is quite simply outrageous, to be honest with you. Grizz, would you like to give us the detailed rundown on how COVID works, what the implementation is with regards to Tier 1, 2, 3 or 4, or would you just like us all to piss off and stop this podcast?
The latter. I choose the latter.
Thought you would. Thought you wouldn't, fairness. Lads, that's been a brilliant build-up show. We come on here saying, we mightn't do an hour. We've done an hour and 23. I don't know why we do this. It's like when we done the 5-minute shows and they were 25 minutes long and everybody just kept calling us out on it.
I seriously was thinking 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah, but
then it speaks to different people than the missus and the kids, to be honest, lads. I can stay here for another hour.
But I'll tell you what it is. That chat is brilliant. And every time you think you're going to finish, someone pops something into that chat and you go, oh, yeah, that's good. And
yeah,
you try, it is genuinely. So it's all your fault. People that are watching and people that are chatting, it's all your fault. But keep liking and we'll see how it goes. But look, it's been a brilliant show. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Grizz and Keith are back. The deadly duo are back after the game tomorrow night, I think. Isn't that right, Grizz?
That's correct. Yeah.
And
Someone.
they did.
Oh, look at this! I like this one. Look at this one. There's always people that Hold on. Where's it gone? Just to let people know, Gav.
Oh, big update.
It has arrived today,
Yes.
and so therefore it will be getting stuffed up my nostril to sort that out and clear that out.
What's the plan with the shape up, Grizz? What are you going to go for?
Well, I can't. It won't be as thin as your one because,
Mine blows off in the window, buddy.
not everyone can be sort of pristine like you, but it's going to be more. It's going to be cleaned up nicely.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not doing
I'll
a
try
live
to get
video
that
on
done
that.
before. I'll try to get that done before next Tuesday.
We're not doing a live video on that. I can tell you that for nothing. It's just YouTube suicide. But we are. Keith and Grizz will be on after the game tomorrow around 10:15. I think you have to give Grizz a few minutes after the game for the heart rate to drop, and it's different bits. So it'll be about 10:15 tomorrow night, I think. And it's the two of them. They're going to have a match reaction to Newcastle versus Liverpool. But the thing they both told me was, listen, when you're promoting this tomorrow, you need to tell people to get into that chat at 10:15. You need to get them get all their opinions in because they're going to walk off the chat in a heavy way tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be very. It's going to be very based on what the chat says and what topics they want to talk about, essentially around the game. But then, obviously, as we do, sort of other issues as well, other points and other talking points. Sorry, I should say.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it's a good mix because Grizz is just trigger happy when he wants to just start hitting comments up on the screen, and Keith completely forgets. So if you have a good mix where someone completely forgets, someone's trigger happy, you'll get a nice medium and it'll work quite well. Jamie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Loads of people in that chat telling me you're making great points tonight, but most of all, they're telling you that Liverpool will win, and I know that makes you very, very, very happy. It does indeed. Grizz, thanks a million for joining us. Enjoy the show tomorrow night. And as I said, people, don't forget to join Grizz and Keith tomorrow. Good luck, Grizz.
No. Yeah, man. It should be fun.
I'm off to watch the Cobra Kai, lads. I've got knee deep into that at the moment.
Cobra Kai?
Yeah, I'm a big Karate Kid fan. I'm an 80s child. So
has anyone ever watched Schitt's Creek?
Oh, no. What's that?
I have.
It's like a comedy on, I think it's on Netflix. I was playing golf with a fella today and he said, "Oh, watch that, it's good, it's funny."
I think I have. Go on, what's it about?
It's about a family that lose all their money, but the only thing they have left is a small town they bought when they were rich and they have to move to it. That's the premise. And then it's all a bit of a laugh after that. But
that's not what I was thinking.
Yeah. Anybody that hasn't seen that, A. Lauren just says, "Oh my God, it's hilarious. Please tell me that's Schitt's Creek because I'm really looking for something just to watch for the sake of watching. We just sit there in a kind of daze and watch it and laugh. So yeah, let me hope that he's talking about Schitt's Creek there. Shawnee recommended a film called Whiplash the other night, which I did watch and it was excellent, by the way. So if you need any TV or movie stuff, let us know and we'll actually throw them on. Red Steve says, "Wax on, wax off." No, I use Manscaped. Manscaped.
Nicely done.
Yeah. And A. Lauren just says,
"Yeah." Karate Kid reference there, Gav.
Yeah,
wax
exactly.
On, wax
exactly. Yes, it is Schitt's Creek. I'm going to go and have a look at that now. I'm going to have a look and check it out. But no, seriously, that's it. We're out of here an hour and 27 minutes where you are so fucking taking the piss at this stage. That has been the build-up show from the LFC Daytrippers. We are back tomorrow. What day is tomorrow?
Wednesday.
I think we're off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're back for the Fatback 4 on Sunday. Nice one. Over now.